The enchanting mystique of the treasures beckons, does not let go, and does not give rest. The desire to find untold riches has caused terrible tragedies, murders, and disappointments. But the most impenetrable place is the money mine, located on Oak Island. For 2 centuries it has played havoc with treasure hunters, never yielding the treasure they desire. You're on the Wisioner channel, and this is going to be quite a mystery video. I'm going to talk about the mystery of Oak Island. I am sure this video will not leave you indifferent. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications by clicking on the bell. I will ask you to like this video. This is really important for me, as this simple action from you motivates me and helps in the development of the channel. So, let's get started. The mystery of Oak Island. Oak Island is located near the east coast of the peninsula of Nova Scotia, Canada, in Mahon Bay. The island is like an island, the same as all the other 350 islands located in this bay. However, there is a difference. Or rather, there was. Unlike the other islands of Mahon Bay, in the old days, which cannot be said now, red oaks grew in abundance on Oak. They gave the island its name. Oak in English means oak. But it's not just the oaks that make Oak famous. For 2 centuries, it has been stirring the minds of treasure hunters, and lately, historians as well, with its enormous hidden treasures. And not so much treasure as the sophisticated ingenuity with which they were hidden there. Pirate games. It all began in October 1795 when 3 teenagers from nearby Chester, Daniel McGinnis, John Smith and Anthony Vaughan, posing as desperate cutthroat pirates, landed on deserted Oak with the intention of turning it into their pirate base. Exploring the island, the boys stumbled upon a huge old oak tree growing in the middle of a clearing. Its trunk had been chopped up with an axe, its thickest branch cut off, and decayed ship's tackle, probably in the shape of hoists, was hanging from its bow. Just beneath them there was a round depression in the ground, clearly indicating that there had been a hole in the ground for a long time. If there were hoists and there was a hole underneath, it means that some kind of load had been lowered into the hole, the boys figured out. And if this cargo was buried, it means it was hidden. And what could there be to hide but pirate treasure? Having come to this simple conclusion, the young pirates, immediately becoming treasure hunters, went to the village, took shovels and returned to the island. Naturally, they did not say a word to the adults about their find. The children were able to go down a little, but the shovels hit some kind of wooden surface. The adults refused to help. The island had a very bad reputation. Then Daniel and his friends scoured the entire coast, but their findings were limited to 1 coin and a mooring stone to which the dinghies had once been attached. Return to Oak Island. The chief instigator of the pirate games did not give up the dream of digging up the treasure. He returned to the island 10 years later, taking his helpers with him. Digging the well, they consistently stumbled over layers of clay, charcoal, and coconut sponge. The handmade nature of the pit was confirmed by oak dividers meeting at regular intervals. Eventually, the treasure hunters discovered a stone with an encrypted inscription. Much later, 2 versions of what was written on the slab appeared. According to the first, it was information about the value of the treasure, £2 million sterling. In the 1970s, the second version was suggested the cipher was a clue for those seeking riches and recommended to pour maize or millet grains into the water. But these interpretations came many years after the work. And the treasure hunters themselves kept digging. The work became more and more difficult. Water began to appear in the hole, but it seemed that the cherished goal was close. The friends felt some wooden object. But night had fallen, and the search was postponed until morning. At dawn, the treasure hunters were sorely disappointed. The shaft was 60 feet deep with liquid. It could not be pumped out. Expeditions to Oak Island. What happened to the man who discovered the well first is unknown. But to the mine began a pilgrimage. In the middle of the 19th century, a full expedition was sent to the island. They brought with them a drill, which went down to 98 feet and ran into a familiar obstacle. The participants decided that slant and vertical holes should be drilled to suck out the water. There were so many that the treasure sagged and disappeared into the abyss of mud and silt. Perhaps the idea with the grits was not so naive? The dilapidated dam also confirms this idea. Presumably, it protected the island from flooding by water from the ocean. In 1896, new drillers came to Oak Island. They managed to get to the metal barrier. They found a way to penetrate it with a particularly strong drill. Below it turned out to be something like concrete, an oak partition, and soft metal. They hoped it was gold, but there was no confirmation. Fibers of wood, bits of iron, and even a scrap of parchment stuck to the tool, but not a crumb of the precious contents. However, treasure hunters confidently reported that a chest lay 160 feet deep, and crowds streamed to the island, drawn by rumors of many sunken barrels of treasure. In the 1960s, underground passages and diversion channels connecting the mine and the dam were discovered. But drillers 100 years earlier had damaged the carefully calibrated communication system. It has been flooded with water ever since, and even the latest modern technology is powerless. 1965 marked the deaths of 4 people. That's when Daniel Blankenship showed up on the Oak. This man approached the search thoughtfully and thoroughly. He did not rush to ravage an already broken well, but walked slowly around the island. He also found the remains of an ancient pier that had been overlooked by previous searchers. There may once have been many clues on the island, but unceremonious handling of the earth and the massive machinery have most likely destroyed them all. What's hiding in the mine? It was Daniel Blankenship who, after analyzing all the archival materials related to the pirates, dismissed the version of the secret treasure of the captain of the Flybuster's ship. This was later confirmed by other researchers. Corsairs were not characterized by the desire for intricate construction, but they lived their lives in vengeance and were famous for it. All the loot stayed in the bottomless pockets of innkeepers and public girls. A wise treasure hunter has put forward 3 theories, according to which in the money pit lies the Inca treasure looted by Francisco Pizarro. He managed to embezzle millions of pounds worth of gold, but all that money disappeared without a trace. Perhaps it is still safely hidden in the bowels of Oak Island, Monk's money of Great Britain. After the introduction of Protestantism in England, monasteries were mercilessly ravaged and destroyed. After the dissolution of St. Andrew's Abbey, the untold riches stored in the cellars also disappeared. This theory is supported by the fact that the system of underground communications on the island and the secret passages of the monasteries were built on the same principle, the Holy Grail. The existence of the artifact is disputed. According to one version, it was hidden by the Freemasons on a small island off Nova Scotia. Daniel Blankenship was able to lower a camera into a nearby drilled hole, and then, for the first time, the veil of mystery was lifted a little. He was able to see a huge box with a human hand floating nearby and the outline of a skull visible. After that, the explorer made 3 attempts to go down the money pit, but they all ended in fiasco. The black silt hid everything at the slightest movement. The mystery remains a mystery. Daniel Blankenship makes vague statements that he has speculation about the treasure of Oak Island, but he will not voice them until he has finally figured it all out. However, he hints that the truth will turn out to be far more fantastic than all the versions. Since 2013, Rick and Martin Lajan have been excavating on the island, but so far their only achievement is the discovery of a Spanish gold coin. Who and why? In fact, in the pursuit of becoming millionaires, seized by the fever of enrichment, few diggers thought about what kind of people and, most importantly, why they worked titanically to securely conceal the mysterious treasure. The Halifax company first asked this question. According to the calculations and conclusions made on the basis of the excavations, the construction was managed by those who knew mining and hydraulic engineering. In addition, they had strong-willed and leadership qualities because the work would need 1,000 people who had to work in 3 shifts for at least 6 months. These facts suggest that the value of the hidden treasure was so great that the forces of the ocean had to be attracted to its concealment, and the hardest work was justified. There are many versions of the origin of the supposed treasure on Oak Island. The most common of these is piratical. The names of such famous pirates as Blackbeard, Henry Morgan, and Captain Kidd are mentioned in this connection. However, there is no direct documentary evidence to support this version. The pirate version is dubious also because it is unlikely that the pirates included mining engineers, hydraulic engineers, and a whole army of workers. According to the assessment of modern experts, to build such a hydraulic complex, having the technological level of the 18th century, it took around-the-clock work of at least 100 people for a year. Why did the pirates need such complications? The Oak and its treasure is a long chain of questions still unanswered. And the main among these questions, which for 2 centuries now has been haunting scientists and treasure hunters, who was it that cunningly and reliably hid the treasure in the bowels of the island? If it were possible to answer this question, it would be easy to answer all the others, but meanwhile the mystery of Oak is still waiting to be solved. For 220 years, 6 people have died on the island, trying to get to its underground secrets. Today's researchers believe that until it becomes known who, why, and when turned the small island into a fortress to hide the only chest, it will not be possible to find it. If you were interested, thank the author by putting a like. And also do not forget to subscribe so as not to miss the outputs of even more interesting videos of my channel. Turn on notifications by clicking on the bell and share this video with your friends. What else interesting can you add to this video? Write in the comments, it will be interesting to read.